Using video marketing for your holiday plan in your business is a great strategy to have. In fact, if you really struggle with feeling like you're being salesy or you just hate that feeling even when you're not, video is the best thing to use because a part of the taco method that I teach, if you've heard me speak in person, the A for the taco method talks about avoiding manipulation. So video, when done right and formatted to give away the messaging that you want and also to connect with your target audience, you don't have to feel salesy. You don't really have to do much. You already did a lot of the work in the video that you produce or the videos that you're sharing. So you're really just sending it out for it to connect with your target audience and then letting that next phase happen, okay? So remember I talked to you guys about the sales hose, like the spray hose method. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be asking people to buy when they're in the inspiration and research phase. They're not going to. And remember I talked about this before, that when you're in that buy from me mindset and your consumer is in the inspiration research mindset, that's where that word that we all hate, ghosting, comes into play. People leave, they run, like the Forrest Gump gif that I used in that live class or stream, whatever you want to call it, that I did. So we don't want to do that. We want to avoid that. So let's get into part 1. So the first thing you want to think about is working backwards. And I know you're probably like, what? But yes, this is the right way to do it, okay? You want to have your end goal in mind, whether that is conversion, sales, engagement, connection, or honestly, all of the above. And can you do all of the above? Yes. So if that was your response, don't feel like, oh man, should it have just been one? No, it can definitely be all of the above. Irregardless to which one it is or if it's all of them, you want to work backwards. So you need to know what your end goal is. So if your end goal is engagement, then everything that you're producing with your video content and then the content that's supporting that, which we'll talk about too, has to be in alignment with that. If it's not in alignment with that, then the messaging it's gonna like blow up. It's not gonna connect, okay? If your plan is conversion, same thing. Your messaging in your video needs to be in alignment with that. If you're speaking engagement language but you really want to convert, messaging is off. So that's a good example of what I'm talking about as far as having it in alignment. But first and foremost, before I continue, I really want you to either grab a pen and a piece of paper, or if you have a laptop that you can watch this on a different computer, whatever, open up the notes. I want you to be able to take notes so that you can remember what I'm saying and it's just not going in one ear and out the other, because then there's no room for you to implement what is being taught. So go ahead and do that and I'll get started. What you're going to do is take the next 5 to 10 minutes to work on what your end goal is, whether that's engagement, conversion, connection, or all, okay? I didn't think of the last C because I always confuse the connection conversion. So I'm like, don't want to forget. So go ahead and pause this video, and for the next 5 to 10 minutes, I want you to work on which one it is and why you want to do them, or if it's all of them, still why you want to do them. So pause this video and then go to the next section. And I'm telling you right now, you need to do this part because everything else is not going to make sense if you don't do this part first. So pause the video and go. All right. So now you've done that part and you should feel a little bit actually more confident in what you're actually going to produce for the video, because now you're like, okay, I have this end goal. And at the end of the day, by the time they've seen this video, whether it's 7 times, 21 times, whatever the case may be, I know that the purpose of this video was for this end goal, and that's what you need to start with. So I'm glad, kudos for you, cheering for you that you were able to do that, okay? So let's go into the next step. The next thing that you want to do is, after you've decided whether engagement, connection, or conversion, or all of them is your end goal, part 2 that you need to do, and there's going to be 4 parts in this whole video, so we're in part 2. Part 2 that you need to do is you need to write down what your actual revenue goal is. And I know some people may feel like that's too high, and honestly, most people aim too low. And I know this sounds weird, but let me give you an example. If you're a wedding photographer, just remember this is an example, and let's put you mid-tier, okay? If you have your lowest end package that's anywhere from like $2 to $3 grand, right? Let's just say $2 to $3 grand. And you put your goal for your revenue conversion on Instagram for 5K. Do you think that that is an unrealistic revenue goal? The answer to that question is no, because all you really need are 2 weddings. You just need to book 2 weddings in that month. So you do your 30-day calendar slot, whatever that may be for you, and you know, obviously you want to implement it for the holiday. That's what we're going with, but you can also use this practice period. Okay, all you need is 2 people. So honestly, a lot of times when you hear educators or influencers say, I booked, 5K in 1 month, 10K in 1 month, right? And a lot of people go, man, how is so-and-so doing this? Because they have a ticket item, right? They have a ticketed item, whatever that is, that they put out there as the link to what they're trying to get. So they made a video because they want to book this particular ticketed item. That's why I say you have to start backwards, not forward, okay? And I know we're taught to go left to right or forward or whatever, but you're working backwards with this. This is the way the strategy works. So it's really not unrealistic to say I have a 5K to 10K goal. Plus, with you having that goal, your mind goes, I need to do this. This is imperative to me. This is important to me, okay? When you just say, oh, I want to book, I want to make money that month, you don't have a real target. You don't have anything to really aim for. And so that's why it's important for you to write down what that goal is. So think about the ticketed item that you want to aim for, whether it's your highest ticketed item or a lower tier. I would not go with your lowest. I would go with a mid-tier. So think of that, whatever industry you're in. Obviously the numbers are going to be different for you, but just think of use the example that I just gave you with the wedding photographer and their goal and their aim, and try to apply that monetary wise to yours based on the tiers that you have. So we're going to go into step 3 now. The next thing that you can do, and this I kind of say, depending on your business structure, this could be 2B, but you can also put it as step 3. So if you're writing this down, you can label it as such, and then once you have all the steps, figure out, you know what, for my business, this needs to be a second part of part 2, or for my business, this can definitely be number 3, okay? I don't want you to be so structured like Anisha said, this is number 3 and I'm on 2. I don't want that. If you can slide it and it works for your business structure, then go ahead. But what you want to write down are all of the streams of income that you have that you're able to connect your audience to via Instagram. So if I was to use Learn with AC just as an example, okay, I have mini guides, I have courses, I have one-on-one sessions, I have webinars, I have live classes. There are different, I didn't even name everything, but I have different streams of where income can come in, okay? And so write all that down. Even though previously you had that revenue solid goal, right? The reason why you're writing this part down too as well is because in the event that you can't get, remember I used the wedding photographer, in the event that you can't get just those 2 and you're done, I don't want you to give up. I want you to think, okay, so I did it. I could see based on the days that I have on the calendar and the timeline that I gave myself, it doesn't look like I'm going to get these 2 weddings the way I want to. So where else can I start pulling dollars to come in to still meet that revenue goal? So make sure that you're writing this stuff down, even if that's communicating through your email, because some people don't realize okay, if you are getting contacted by a client via email, then that's a stream of income. You just need to figure out what they're mostly going to, what they're leaning towards when they get your email content. Okay, so I want you to pause the video here and take the next, I would say 10 minutes, because you want to write down realistic stuff. If it's something that's maybe not launched yet, but it might be launched in enough time for the holiday, because this is the whole point of you prepping now, then go ahead and write that down as well. So pause this video and go ahead and work on the exercise for the next 10 minutes. Okay, so now you've completed 1 through 3, okay? So step 4 is where you're really going to push your content, but you can't get to step 4 without having the content first. So I need you to listen to what I'm saying specifically in this part, okay? For step 4, I'm telling you the strategies that you can use once you have your video content produced. I cannot sit here and tell you make this kind of video, make this kind of video, because all of you guys are in different niches, okay? This is why in the group I ask for participation with polls and things of that nature, because the more narrowed down I can get to who's in here and who really wants this information, the more I can say, okay, you know what? These type of videos work better for this field, a niche. Now, can I still do that? Absolutely. But where we are right now with you, it is better to do it one-on-one to start there. So if you really want to know like what specific videos work better for your niche, then you want to reach out to me personally and we could work with figuring out, okay, I think you should do these type of videos for what you're trying to achieve. But then after that, you're going to need to know, well, how do I distribute them? And right now, me telling you how to distribute them, because you're going to still need to work on that content, right, to make the video. Me telling you how to distribute them also will influence what you need to film and have in the video content. So I'm going to give you the first one that you can do on Instagram, which is carousel posts. So if you have a product, let's say I'm just using wedding photography as an example, okay? You guys already know I always use that. But if you have a product that you want to push for the holiday, what you need to have for the carousel post are different views and different angles of that particular product so that people could say, oh wow, like I want this in my hands, okay? I'm getting what they don't know this is called, but this is a form of experience marketing, okay? So what they're gonna say is, I am getting to experience this. I'm having the ability to experience this right now with this person that is selling this item to me by having that swipe feature to go to the next part and the next part of your product, okay? So what you're giving them is experience marketing. It's a very popular, known by marketers and people who understand marketing, but rarely used by a lot of businesses. So it'd be cool for you to put it into play because you know you're doing something that's actually very effective. So carousel posts, regardless to what your video content may be, works very well. So if you have a video that you could splice up into 4 pieces, there goes your carousel post, okay? The next post that I want you to do is obviously Instagram stories. Same thing, except you already know when you have a longer video content that Instagram stories is going to splice that video for you. So honestly, guys, as long as you have the video formatted for IG stories, you don't really have to stress about splicing it the right way, so to speak, because IG stories is already going to do it for you. Now, I'm gonna give you a little tip. If you post to Instagram stories first and your video can fit within the Instagram feed, which is the 640 by 640, that square feed, okay? And the same video can fit that's already spliced up by stories, and it won't cut off anything that is essential for the viewer, because remember, they're the one that is experiencing this content, right? As long as it fits within the feed and it's still usable and workable, you can actually use those videos that are cut up in your carousel post. Now, the drawback on that is time, because Instagram stories is going to cut it every 15 seconds, at least at the time of this video that I did, okay? Every 15 seconds. So that's more clips. So you'll have more clips in your carousel post, which may mean that people viewing it may not swipe all the way through. So that's why I always tell you you always have to be testing. There's always give and take. And remember, you can post this content that you're doing more than one time, okay? So if you're finding that the Instagram version, cutting, like you repurposing the IG stories cut ups is too much, then go to your original video, splice it up into 4, and then post it into the feed that way and natively. All right. So I told you carousel posts would be the first, and then you want to use Instagram stories as the second type. And then you want to share this video and or your video content wherever your client reaches you that they could potentially book you. And I know you're going to be like, what? But this goes back to all the platforms that I was saying. When you're on 5 platforms, if you're emailing, and I know you guys are like, but this seems like a lot of work, but back up a step for a second, okay? It's really not, because we are in a time now where, before it was a customer only needed to see you 7 times to convert to sale, whatever. Now they need to see you 21 times, okay? So if you're making a video that you can repurpose on Instagram, if your customer's on LinkedIn, Instagram, LinkedIn, IG stories, I did not put IGTV in this category for a reason, and I'll tell you why at the end. But so I said Instagram, LinkedIn, IG stories, Facebook, your email. That's 5 platforms, and Pinterest. That's 6 right there. If you could do it on Snapchat and your audience is on Snapchat and the video is formatted to fit that platform, then go ahead with Snapchat. But by the time you repurpose those videos on those platforms and cut them up and linked people back, you've probably hit the person that's seeing this content at least 21 times, because I just gave you at least 5 solid platforms that you can post on. So if you were to post this video 4 times on each platform sporadically, not obviously the same time, same day, you just hit them 21 times. Okay? So I want you to think about that before you just like, oh my gosh, no, okay? That's not the case. That's not the case at all. And I also want you to remember, guys, that you have that 2% that I went over that conversion with you, that when you're on social, at the very least, you have that 2% conversion rate. So don't think again of 5,000, 3,000, 300, whatever your vanity metric number is. Think of the 2% of whatever you are currently at. Those are the people that you're talking to. And honestly, that number should also help you with your revenue number, because if you decide, okay, you know what, I'll take more volume, meaning you'll have to convert more people, you have a more accurate number with doing that 2%. But if you don't do it and you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna randomly, you're probably gonna feel less motivated and feel like reaching your goal is harder. Even if you do it with the method that I gave, if you have a ticketed item for an amount and you know, okay, I need this many people to meet this goal, that's a good way of doing it too, okay? But just keep in mind that you can also use that 2% conversion rate that I taught you about in the group. And if you don't know what that is or don't remember, head back to the group, look under the learning tab, and then look for training exercise. That section, you'll find that 2% video there. So I'm going to close with this. The reason why I don't want you to put a video on IGTV just yet is because a lot of you guys are not posting consistently on IGTV to begin with, okay? And I want to make sure that you have a video that is structured to convert the way IGTV content converts, period. That's my main reason why you don't have IGTV as a strategy. Now, if you feel like your video can do what it needs to do on IGTV, then by all means, please use that as another method to do your holiday marketing. I highly recommend you download the IGTV conversion mini guide that I have in the shop. That will help you as well to tell you like specific strategies on ways to convert and how you can convert and connect. But don't just put the video up there because you're like, oh, I have a video. Like, video for IGTV needs to be specific, and I can tell you this much, that it's hard, not impossible, but it's hard to do all 3 of the engagement, conversion, and connection on IGTV for a lot of different reasons, which I would honestly have to do like a whole nother video, but I'll just leave you with this. People come right now to IGTV to find the separate reasons. So whether they're trying to engage with you, whether they're trying to convert with you, or whether they're trying to gain education and inspiration from you. Right now, it is a little bit hard to do all 3. is not impossible because I've done it, but you have to like know your audience, know what you're offering, know you have value on the back end. Like you have to have, just being honest with you from a video marketing standpoint, you have to have like all three checked and know that you have all three checked. You can't be like, maybe. No, all three have to be like solid hit. And a lot of that does start with knowing your audience and just giving something of value. But again, there are steps to doing both of those, and you really, really need to know it. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really want to see you pushing your video marketing content on the platforms that I gave you. I know I just had a brain fart, so pardon me. Look, we're human. Okay, so I really want to see you guys push your video marketing content for the holidays. But the reason why I released this now in July is because you should be prepping now. The holidays are right around the corner. By September, you should have all of your video content that you want to push for October, November, December done. You should not be making it during that time. Like, that's not the plan that you want to use. You ever wonder why influencers that you like, or people in your particular industry that educate or that are constantly selling, but selling good stuff, and you're like, dang, how come they're always, because they plan ahead. People who do Black Friday stuff, they're not planning Black Friday content in November. They're planning Black Friday content, honestly, now. And then they finalize, okay, their final decisions in September, what they want to do. So that way, October, they're chilling. November, they hit you with the Black Friday. And you're like, oh my gosh, this was for me. And they did it months ago. Okay, so once again, I am Anisha Collins, award-winning wedding photographer and cinematographer that also specializes in video marketing, where I help creative entrepreneurs and business owners like you who I consider are successful use video marketing in their business the right way. If you have any questions, you already know that you can always ask me. This is a safe place to do so. Also, check out the podcast. I have a lot of content on there that some of it is the video content that I've done, but even if it is and you haven't seen the video content, the podcast is easy to listen to because you could play it and keep doing something else. As long as you're retaining and applying, honestly, that's all that matters. And honestly, I do the same thing with a lot of people that I look up to or that I consider influencers in my area of growth. So let's get this holiday video marketing going. See you guys.